I made plans to travel to Chicago with some friends and relatives to open a furniture manufacturing company. But before I did that, I received a phone call from one of my relatives who lived in St. Paul. He invited me to spend a couple of weeks here, and I never made it to Chicago. Why? Because I realized that there were a lot of opportunities. That was I arrived to Minnesota back in January 1991. It was a huge difference from California, but I liked it. I liked it because I saw a lot of opportunities. I felt fortunate of seeing so many Latino-led and focused organizations, and organizations that were concerned about the challenges that the Latino immigrants faced in the state of Minnesota and help them incorporate into the system. So I was encouraged by that too. But I realized that there was not an organization that focused on self-sufficiency. And coming from a business family, I realized that that was something important that could be done.
Well, remember, a good deal of the Riverview development by the Port Authority was well underway by the time I landed here.
Right.
And so when I would be parking under the Wabasha Street Bridge over in Harriet Island and walking up the stairs and into downtown to the law office, there was a newness about the jobs that were being created. But then and ever since, I've always worried and wondered whether the jobs that were being created were accessible to the people who were being displaced or who lived there. And I have no criticism of them having created that park, that industrial park. After all, it was in the floodplain. But I never succeeded in matching jobs with the people most needing of them. I never fully succeeded. I always had it in my mind, always tried to do it, and later on we even got a connection between, if you're going to develop here, we want 10% of the jobs to go to the people in the neighborhood, or 10% to the people who are at the job entry level. And that's a hard thing to pull off.
We had the opportunity to create and shape the Latino business community in the way we needed it. And what was in my mind was social responsibility. Why? Because we already have had several conversations among the community regarding issues that were being faced by the newcomers. So that was basically one of the reasons why I stayed here, and why I started getting involved on this type of issues.
The business community here, we didn't have Mexican businesses. It was all the old Irish, Lebanese, the old guard in terms of St. Paul history that lived here. I mean, we had stores, bars, restaurants, but they weren't ours, like Coronados. We didn't have the freedom that we had on the West Side Flats. We didn't have the ability to maneuver. It was a cautious, where you go, how we go. We went to Guadalupe Church, we went home, went to school, went home. Eventually we evolved into relationship with the community and became part of the community. But keep in mind that that was also during the 60s, was the civil rights movement.
Well, first of all, I started my own business. Mm-hmm. And I spent 13 years of my life as a resident of the United States being undocumented. And when I started getting involved on the community organizing aspect of the Latino community, at least in Minneapolis, many people started asking me questions such as, you have a business and you don't even have documents, how do you do it? And many people had the same dreams. They wanted to open their own business, but they didn't know how.
So we began the issue of confrontation of our challenging our elected leaders, our designated leaders, self-proclaimed leaders, and we wanted change in this community because we, the West Side Flats, those of us that were removed from the West Side Flats, we told ourselves we will not be relocated or moved again. We need to figure out how to make this our community, and assimilate became a key word for us. And began to plight for community development, began to plight for assimilation, began to plight for being recognized as being contributing factor to the community.
And someone else mentioned, I used to own a fairly successful business in my country, but because of the recession, I was forced to emigrate here. I don't know how to start a business here. If I knew and I was given the opportunity, I would probably give back to this so these children can go to higher education. And without paying too much attention, I realized that they were talking about social responsibility. And because we didn't have a business community, I realized that was an opportunity to shape the Latino business community in a way we needed it for the sake of the community.
Qué linda está la mañana en que vengo a saludarte. Venimos todos con gusto y placer a felicitarte. El día en que tú naciste, nacieron todas las flores. Y en la pila del bautizo cantaron los ruiseñores. Ya viene amaneciendo